You're now down to two in the NBA Championship and the Stanley Cup. Both matchups are finalized. We got on one side the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets, and we got the Vegas Golden Knights after punching their ticket. Will face the Florida Panthers. Florida has two opportunities to get a championship over the next couple weeks. Can they get it done? We'll go over both in a little bit. But alas, I'm here again, a Joe to Love. Thank you all for joining me on this fine episode. Hope everyone's having a solid day thus far. Episode 153. Got some good stuff and content to bring you today on the podcast, guys. A little bit of everything. Gonna touch upon, obviously, Stanley Cup, previewing the NBA Championship, news of Deandre Hopkins, give my thoughts on where he should sign, and Alonso and the Mets, and the state of the MLB season thus far. Over all of that. But again, thank you for joining me. Of course, before we begin, click the subscription there, wherever it may lie. And then click the notification bell as well. Find all notifications for my videos and stuff. But last, thank you. And let's get started, shall we? So, as far as both championships, we had two sweeps in the semifinals for both. But alas, they weren't what you expected. Or depending on who you were. But, so, Florida Panthers already swept the Carolina Hurricanes. 4 games. It was a great finish. Again, for the Panthers, with less than 5 seconds to go, they hit the game-winning shot, and there goes Carolina after a heck of a postseason thus far. Came to an end on this dominant run by the Florida Panthers. But to touching up on hockey. So, both NBA series, the Denver Nuggets versus the Lakers, deciding the West. The Nuggets were up 3-0. The Miami Heat were up 3-0 against the Celtics. We thought, okay, maybe this is the first time in history that we get both conference finals going to a sweep. That was not the case. One did go to a sweep. The Nuggets held up their end and swept the Lakers in 4. The Celtics, however, almost made history on the Heat as they were down 3-0. Got the next three, culminating in a stellar last millisecond win in Miami, Game 6, as Derek White. I tell you, he had a heck of a postseason and regular season. My hat's off to him. So first, let's talk about the shot. So So Butler was fouled. I was at a grad party when it happened, but it was crazy. But so Jimmy Butler was fouled behind the 3-point line, and it was 2-point game. You know. So, first of all, it was controversial. It being that it was 2.1 seconds when he was fouled. And nonetheless, there was 3 seconds left. They basically put a full second left. Nonetheless, Butler shot all 3 free throws. Took a 1-point lead. And then Marcus Smart missed a open 3-point shot. Then, out of nowhere, Derek White runs in, pops up, 0.1 seconds left on the clock, and they wound up winning it by 1. So there you go. But obviously, yes, look, fouls. The NBA officiating has been so bleak the last number of years. So bleak. We're at a point where we can complain about fouls all we want. All we want. But at the end of the day, what really was talked about was, because at the end of the day, that's what's most remembered. It was 2.1 seconds when Butler was, or at least that was what was on the clock. He shot the free throws. They moved it up to 3 seconds left. And then they won by 0.1 seconds, the Celtics. Now, great moment, but that's what people will hinge on as far as that. Nonetheless, the 3-0 lead is over. Now it's time to handle business in Boston. And then already you could tell by the first quarter, as they were out of the gate, when, first of all, Jason Tatum tweaked his ankle on the first possession of the game when going up for a shot, went down awkwardly. Still saved the game, but Tatum, it's hard to say because, look, he saved the game. you know, but only scored 14 points. I mean, just really displaying um, all around. But you could see and how the Heat were kind of throwing their good jabs and some combinations. And they were getting their shots. It was they were changing up their defense. You know, they had to be more disciplined because hey, it's game 7. That 3-0 lead, there's no more room for error. So at the end of the first quarter, you know, Celtics missed the first 10 threes, and at the end of the first quarter, he had 7-point lead, 22-15. So right away, you knew, okay, the Heat are aimed for the purple. Seem to be on their game this time around, and came to a point where they were up by 20, I'd say 21-point lead. And although the Celtics made some shots, you know, the Heat never wavered, and they took it home. You know, Caleb Martin, one heck of a performance by him. 26 points. You know, Jimmy Butler was very good as well. 28 points. Had a few steals as well. I mean, fact is, Heat were on their game, Celtics were not. You could have said it for the end of the game 6, but the shot at the end just got for them, the Celtics. But Heat were on their game. The Celtics, it's difficult to say, but it's true. You know, you could tell throughout these playoffs, they were very. In fact, in the stretch of the end of the regular season, you could tell there was something off. It wasn't what you expect of a Celtics team. They were so enthralled with shooting. And, I mean, yes, we are in a different NBA where it's less lenient as far as physicality and more fouls, and there's more shooting as far as 3-point shots, and just and all. But the fact remains because you just see them take so many threes, and Golden State Warriors can only keep it going with how good their shooting is. Their 3-point shots, because they got the best. They got the best shooter we've ever seen in the NBA, and Steph Curry. But alas, Jason Tatum and all these guys on the Celtics are not Steph Curry. And we just saw it too many times. They go for threes and not be as physical, driving to the basket and trying to get layups and such. That's more why I applaud Derek White, because some of the chances he took in Game 7, he did very well, but in the end, the Heat never wavered. They took it. They said they would get back in it, and they did, and they won Game 7. They're going to Denver on Thursday for the NBA Finals. Now, it's a weird perspective because if the Heat had won last week, we'd have some unique conversations just all around, about the Heat and about the Nuggets. But last now, Game 7's wrapped up, and we have a few days in between for Game 7. So Denver, is rested. They've been rested for a little over a week. And the Heat, have a few days, but alas, a week is much better than a couple days. So it'll be interesting how they adjust to that Miami or Denver altitude and weather. But great for Miami Heat and great for Jimmy. But I just want to say, for anyone that's complaining about this series, just to me sounds like hypocritical or idiotic. I mean, this is a series where the best kind of championship game is when you got two teams you absolutely root for. And the fact is, we got the very good Denver Nuggets team who, despite finishing with the best record in the West, still has gotten pretty overlooked throughout these playoffs, going against the number 8 seed, the second number 8 seed to ever go to the NBA Finals, the Miami Heat, who went through the Bucks, went through the Knicks, and went through the Celtics. Although it wasn't easy, they got it done. And shouldn't discredit the road the Nuggets had to endure to get here. They took care of the Timberwolves in 5. They beat the Phoenix Suns, a surprising Phoenix Suns, in 6. Before taking care of the Lakers in a sweep. It's going to be unique. It's going to be a unique challenge. Because Look, there were stats last night that talked about this series, and I think it said how or it said I think on inside the NBA that the Heat had almost twice as many points off their bench on average in these playoffs than the Nuggets. Plus, they have more points on turnovers. Nonetheless, the Nuggets have almost twice as many points per game and more 3-point percentage. So, some advantages, some disadvantages. But, so it's going to be a unique challenge because you got Jokic, Jimmy Butler, Jamal Murray, Bam Adebayo, Aaron Gordon, Kevin Love, Caleb Martin, I mean, etc. Michael Porter Jr. I mean, Max Strus, who's come along very good in these playoffs as well. I mean, it's going to be a unique battle. The Celtics, still thinking about that series, but the Nuggets still have the size advantage, I think we could say. They are bigger than the Miami Heat. And, how Jokic, it's going to be unique how Coach Spo, or Solskjaer, whichever you want to say, designs the Miami Heat to kind of take away the collective unity of the Joker, because at times he can be a very unique scorer, and at times he can get the ball to his teammates at will and contribute that way, get everyone as involved as they can be. So it's going to be unique. But, and the Miami Heat, they have no shortage of getting their role players all involved as well. Whether it's Jimmy Butler, whether it's, Caleb Martin, Highsmith, who has done some good things in the last couple games. I mean, Strus, I mentioned. Yeah, Kyle Lowry has been very good at times. We can tell. So, it's going to be a unique challenge. It's tough because I said it many times throughout the course of the season. A healthy Denver Nuggets team, my pick to win the NBA Finals. And I originally picked Celtics Nuggets, and I went to Bucks Nuggets, and then flip back and forth between Bucks and Celtics, and then Miami Heat has gone this great run. I am gonna pick. I'm gonna pick Miami it sounds. No, scratch that. I gotta stick with the Nuggets. I gotta stick with Nuggets. I may be wrong, but look, if I'm wrong, I won't be too upset because I love Jimmy Butler. And I love what the Heat have done, and it's unfortunate. One of these teams is not gonna go all the way and win the NBA championship, but it's gonna be unique. It's gonna be a unique battle. I'll say. I'd say it's not gonna go. It's not gonna go 7. Either 5 or 6. I think that's the number. These two teams are too good not to get swept. I think we know. So either 5 or 6. I think that's the number. Denver in 6, I'd say. Unless now going from the NBA Finals to the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup matchup is set. There will be no Game 7. The Vegas Golden Knights took out the Dallas Stars in 6, shut out 6-0, and they will face the Florida Panthers to decide the next Stanley Cup. I mean, what can you say? What a surgence by both teams. I mean, Vegas still. They're what? 6, 7 seasons open now. They began in 2017 and really have been in discussion, the majority of their short time here in being a team in the NHL. They have been always in discussion, and they had a heck of a journey together, beating the Kings solidly, beating the Oilers, and now being a tough Dallas Stars team. Now they're here. 4 wins away from the Stanley Cup. But the Florida Panthers, damn, this crew is good. I don't know what it is about this Florida team, but they are just dynamite. Just dynamite. I mean, I said it in a quote on Instagram. I said in a comment that the Boston Bruins should have taken out this monster, the Florida Panthers, when they had the chance and ahead 3-1 in overtime. But alas, they came all the way back. They beat the Maple Leafs in 5 games, and then they sweep the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, Since being down 3-1 to the Bruins, they have won. They are 11-1 since being down to the Bruins. I mean, what can you say about that? They don't. Their only game they lost was, I think, 2-0 to the Maple Leafs. And I think that was in Toronto. I think. I don't know, it was game 4, I think. But nonetheless, so it might have been in Florida. Either way. I mean, 11-1 in your last 12 games. And they were struggling to make the playoffs even. They almost didn't make it. They had some help at the end of the regular season. So we talk about history. Florida Panthers are looking to write their own history. It was an historic regular season for the Boston Bruins. Record wins, record points scored, done. History was made for the Maple Leafs. They're beating the Tampa Bay Lightning, winning their first series in like 20 years. Sorry, Siri. Jeez. So they beat the Lightning to advance their second round in like 20 years. Done in 5 games. And they face the Hurricanes, who have been solid. Beats the Devils in the recent showing, and now getting it done. I mean, I don't know what to say, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But I'm going with Florida. I'm going with the Panthers to continue to ride this wave, and pass Vegas to get it done. I'm just this Florida team just keeps going. They just keep going, and they believe in themselves. Not to say Vegas doesn't believe, but I just don't know what's gotten into this Florida team. So, if you're a Florida fan, based on my predictions, I got Florida taking at least one championship, Stanley Cup. Now, obviously, Florida looked to prove me wrong, but we'll see. We'll see. DeAndre Hopkins. A unique, pretty, what more can say, pretty unique news the other day that he was just straight released by the Arizona Cardinals. Now, he still had a couple years left on his deal, you know, there are always rumblings, especially towards the draft. There was rumblings that maybe he would get traded during the draft. That was not the case. Now, first, I'll go on the Deandre Hopkins side and then obviously the Cardinals side. First of all, so for DeAndre Hopkins, he has not played a full season in the last two seasons especially. He's not completed full season, obviously 2 years ago when they were undefeated, but then he got hurt in that Packers game and then uh, missed the rest of the regular season and their playoff game. There was a chance he could return if they went forward in the playoffs. That was not to be, but there's that. Obviously, that hindered their season as well. And then last year, I mean, it felt like a mess. Felt like a mess for the Cardinals. You know, many, including me, probably had higher expectations for the Cardinals and how they finish. But, I mean, losing Chandler Jones, opposite of J.J. Watt, I think that really hurt. You know, the offensive line kind of took a step back. I mean, it just, the offense, as a whole felt really off. And Kyler Murray, in the end, tore his ACL. And then Hopkins, I mean, they got a few wins, but, it just didn't pan out well. Then Cliff Kingsbury got fired. Steve Kime, they parted ways, but probably got fired. So now, in this of Monty Ossenfort and new GM, and then Jonathan Gannon, a defensive head coach. So I mean, I don't know. Now I did like some of their picks in the draft. I mean, I did like Paris Johnson, getting him for protection, obviously from Ohio State, getting BJ Ojulari of LSU. I think that was a very good pickup as well. We know they lost a bunch in free agency as far as pass rush, including J.J. Watt retiring. So that was position need. I do like their picks, but you know, DeAndre Hopkins is still, a top 10 receiver to me in this game when healthy. And, I can totally see, when you're in the messy situation, and now he's 30, you know, it's like I don't think he wants to be in a mess of an organization or an impossible rebuild when he's in his 30s and he wants to win. So I can understand that part of wanting out. And now, since he's released, he can sign with whoever he chooses. As far as the as far as the regime of the Cardinals, it's obviously a mixed bag because so you wonder if you want Kyler around because you still have that big contract. You wonder, you let go of his best piece, and you don't know when he's going to be back, Kyler, for next season, if at all. So you're curious, and you have a young but roster full of holes, just full of holes. So I think Monty Osford probably thought it was best to cut ties and look for the future. And with that stuff he got in the trade with the Texans in the draft, then I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, there was a bunch of possibilities about where he could sign. And I looked and tried to find out what is the salary cap situations for all the teams in the league. Particularly who could possibly sign him might be a good way to sign him. So you think to yourself, so could the Bears use him? Probably, but do they need him? They have the most cap space left with over 32 million. I mean, you're a young team. You just got DJ. I mean, you got DJ Moore. To pair with Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney. So, I mean, maybe possibility. The Lions, they're number 4. I mean, it was floating around. I saw a couple of reports. They have 23, over 23 million in cap space left. I mean, they could, but you got Jameson Williams, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're pretty much covered on wide receiver. So there's that. Although they could. The Jets, they do have 18 million. Over 18 million. But, I think with Aaron Rodgers being there, Devontae Adams is probably more fittable for a trade, if I have to say. The Eagles, I heard about that, but really, to me, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, they do have over 12.5 million left cap space, but I mean, I don't think so. I just don't don't see how you would fit. I mean, would I like him on the Patriots? sure, you definitely be their best receiver, but I don't think. And yes, Bill O'Brien is the offense coordinator, not the GM. So I mean, but I don't think he's a Bill Belichick guy at the end of the day. I just don't think so. You look down at teams. I mean, Tennessee could use him. They are over almost $8.5 million left cap space. Cleveland Browns, I think, are the ones that make the most sense to me out of the top teams. You got your former quarterback, Deshaun Watson. You got some unique receivers that are not really getting paid much over there. And Mark Cooper, who's a fellow 1,000-yard receiver. You got Donovan Peoples-Jones. You got Elijah Moore, but in a division like that, I think you could fit. The Giants could use them, probably. Obvious. There's a lot of teams that could use them. The Bills, Chiefs, obviously thrown out, but those are two that have the least amount of cap left. So I think they would have to do something in order to get it done. But for my take, Cleveland's, yeah, those guys, Cleveland, Tennessee, I mean, those teams that really could use them. But if I had to say, based on Buffalo or Kansas City, I think Buffalo would be a better fit for him over Kansas City simply because, look, I mean, yes, I think Kansas City could use him more in the aspect that they didn't really have a number one receiver, wide receiver last year. I mean, they had Kelsey, but they had a bunch of, Valdez Scantling, etc. Whereas Hopkins goes to Buffalo, he would be pretty much the 1A to Stephon Diggs. Now, could you get two combustible elements in the offense? With Hopkins and Diggs, probably, but and might not be great, but if Buffalo wants to take that next step, to ultimately get to that Super Bowl and win it, they gotta do everything they can to supply Josh Allen with as much talent, as much. I mean, Don Kincaid, though, was the right move in the draft, getting him to pair up with Dawson Knox. Now another receiver to pair up with Stephon Diggs. That'll be a help thing. Now, could be an issue of Deandre Hopkins perhaps maybe a head case for some, probably. So, I mean, a guy like that, as talented as that, for them to be on the open market, there's got to be something else. Just 2 cents about that, but we'll see. But Cleveland, Tennessee, Buffalo, and I would even throw in the Giants, I think, might be the best fits, and Kansas City. But I'd say out of those, I'd say Cleveland. Cleveland is my best fit for him. And lastly, well, before we get into the MLB, I want to touch upon this situation a little bit because it is kind of odd and something to keep an eye on. So, one of the biggest eye openers of the NFL offseason so far has been Jimmy G signing with the Raiders after they cut ties with Derek Carr after that extension. He goes to Saints. Then they sign Jimmy G, who, I said before, Derek Carr is more talented and more reliable, but Jimmy G is more of a winner. That's just how it is. He's more of a winning quarterback. Simple. Now, obviously, the 49ers has been a better situation in the last decade or so since the Raiders. So that plays a factor, but nonetheless, he has a better record than Carr. Simply put. But, so, last season for the Niners, Jimmy G broke his foot against the Miami Dolphins. And he had surgery in March. But last he's fitness physical thus far, and he's not. They said he's not going to be at OTAs and may not be available to training camp next month. But they said that it's totally possible they could cut him. And the funny thing is, I looked at the odds for who could possibly replace him if they do cut him. And the guy that was at the top of those odds, I'm just saying, not saying it will happen, but people put Tom Brady, the guy that is now a minority owner in the team, as the odds-on favorite to replace Jimmy G if they do cut him. Now, obviously, there would be a lot to go into that. Cut him and then, Tom went out for this league, have to be on board. There's a lot of factors, obviously, but that would be hilarious. Just throwing it out there. Because someone decides to make a poll about it, and then, yes, you can't believe everything you see, but that would be hilarious. But yeah, where does this decision go? I don't know. So then, lastly, I have not touched upon the MLB season much, but since it's been underway, it's been interesting to talk about such. So, in particular, Pete Alonso of the Mets, he has been on a bit of a roll lately, leading the MLB currently with 20 home runs, I believe 21. But nonetheless, as usual, the polar bear has been solid so far. Aaron Judge, not on the pace he was last year, but still very solid. Joey Gallo, gotta pull him out, has 11 home runs for the Minnesota Twins. So a guy to keep an eye on. But ultimately, as far as we look at the MLB standings, I don't think there's too big of a surprise, other than the Baltimore Orioles, who have been dynamite so far, 34-20, who are 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they have been really solid. Probably the only team to challenge the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in the AL East, but we'll see. The Arizona Diamondbacks have been on a roll as well. They are game and a half back of the Dodgers, but nothing too surprising. I mean, the Pirates, after they were on after a huge roll, are now below 500. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. 3-7. Tell you, geez. But that's my current state of the MLB season. But anyways, guys, that was what I had for the podcast today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click that like over there. Leave a thumbs up. Help out video and channel. And of course, subscribe. It was like 13 views, I believe, last time. Hopefully, we can get more likes or more views this go around. But nonetheless, hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be back next week for episode 154. So, thank you guys all. See you next week. Peace.